Next week, Saturday, marks the 13th anniversary of the Marikana massacre, a dark blot in democratic South Africa's history, which saw 34 mine workers gunned down by police during a strike at Lonmin's platinum mine in 2012. The miners, members of the Association of Mine Workers and Construction Union, AMCU, were demanding a wage increase from around 4,000 rand per month to 5,000 rand, that's the lower range, to about 12,500 rand per month to improve dire living and working conditions. 10 other people, you'll remember, had also been killed in various skirmishes in the days before the 16th of August, meaning that the final death toll was 44. Let's speak to Andres Nkome, who was one of the lawyers, who's been one of the lawyers representing various families of the Marikana victims. Good afternoon, Andres, and thank you for your forbearance earlier on about that disruption that occurred when we were starting our conversation. 13 years is what we are marking this year of the Marikana massacre. Am I correct in reading it that, I don't know, the more time passes between the 16th of August 2012 and the initial shock and horror and the sense of what happened, we need to get to the bottom of it, and the sense of never again, and where we are now, the more the event and its lessons seem to be fading from memory?
Now, thank you very much. Thanks for having me, and good afternoon to the viewers. I think we are making very great progress in respect of the matters that we've been handling on behalf of the victims of the Marikana massacre. Just now, of late, we've got a judgment where a court stated that the current president, in his personal capacity, President Cyril Ramaphosa, was the mastermind behind the massacre of the people that died in Marikana. And we are now very close to having another case in court where we're supposed to have a determination on his liability personally for having caused the massacre. Over and above all of this, we have had payments to the injured, and we have had payments to the arrested mine workers. So I am confident that the courts have been assisting us come to conclusions to come and get judged.
Say more about that judgment. You're saying there's a judgment out that talks to the current president and his personal responsibility. And in your words, you're saying it describes him as the mastermind behind the massacre. Just say a bit more about that judgment. I haven't seen it.
We had a matter in Johannesburg High Court where we sought to have Lonmin as well as the president in his personal capacity to be held liable for the massacre. And we had a judge who had to recuse himself because he was sitting in on the matter, and it was found out that he had shares in the Lonmin. And after he had been removed, he had recused himself as a judge, we had a judgment where the determination of the technicalities that the president brought determined. Now, the court that dealt with the technicalities that were brought by the president in his personal capacity was supposed to either conclude that the matter is not justifiable to be in court, or to conclude that the president has to have his day to answer to his input in the Marikana massacre. So that court, it was the court's words that the president is the mastermind behind the Marikana massacre.
So broadly then, Andres, in terms of the other streams of trying to get justice, what do you know about the work, the prosecution, for example? There were many, many people that we thought were going to be prosecuted in terms of the criminal stream of things. There was a trial. I think it involved some 6 police officers. I'm not even sure how far that went. Do you have any idea of where that stands, as well as the many other matters that possibly, and especially in the wake of the work of the Farlam Commission, could have been enrolled for prosecution?
It is not proving easy. You remember that of the deaths that took place now on the 13th of August in 2012, as well as the death of a person in a canter on the day of arrest on the 16th of August, there hasn't been much progress that was made. In actual fact, the High Court in Mafikeng concluded that I think it's the Commissioner Mpembe was not liable for what transpired in Marikana. So we are saying we find it very odd, and we'll have them to take it up with the Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein to determine as to what could have caused all of this, simply because our understanding is that it was the direct input of General Tembe as well as many other police officers, including the president. Yes, the point that I was concluding was that the deaths that took place on the 13th of August were still being probed by the High Court in Mafikeng. And the conclusion was that it wasn't the direct input of General Tembe that caused the deaths. Now, the instructions that we have is that we must take that matter up with the Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein, and then have that court to conclude that it's not correct for the Mafikeng High Court to have concluded that General Tembe was not involved, because it was clear, it was in everybody's ears.
Yeah. So I think because of the difficulties in the line, Andres, I think maybe let's conclude with you just reflecting on the long and arduous journey to justice. We've not even touched on reparations. The last update that I saw came a few years ago, and it was coming from the then Solicitor General, and it was talking about 170 million rand that had been paid in reparations. Has that number gone up? Have other conditions improved, for instance, in and around that community in Marikana, the mining community around there? Just as a parting shot, because of the difficulty that we are having with the line.
Thank you very much. I think I can safely say that the interest of the Marikana massacre victims is safe in the hands of the court. And very soon we should have a day where the court in Johannesburg will have the president in his personal capacity stand in the dock and indicate as to what his involvement is, for the court then to make a determination about his liability insofar as paying for the damages, as well as giving the people in Marikana an apology. So that day is soon coming. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for that. That's Andres Nkome, one of the attorneys that has been involved with that matter since the very beginning, the situation around Marikana. Just giving an update and recapping on some of the work that is being done to ensure that a semblance of justice is served for that massacre that occurred in 2012.